Right, for my 21 build-off entry we have American black walnut, Bosnian maple, Bosnian walnut, Indian ebony. So this is some rather nicely figured quilted maple. However, there are a couple of nasties on it. You see these two here. I'm hoping if I can adjust the book match, take about a couple of mil off of the middle, then I can hide these behind a pickup ring. And that'll also give me some nice figured binding too for the fretboard, providing it's long enough. It should be. And this one here, I think I can hide that with an F-hole. So we're going to have carved top, semi-hollow, it's my template, double cut with volume, tone, recessed pots, 5-way blade switch, possibly a mini toggle. So if you like the sound of that, give it a like, subscribe, and I'll try not to cock it up. Time to make a joint. Now, I'm not putting my blade out too far because I don't want tear out. So I've got a rough surface at the moment. I'm just taking away tiny bits, and the amount I take away is getting bigger with each pass, in theory. So my joint's coming on. Just got this one side where I'm rocking this way a bit as I look it with the square. So I just need to bring it down a bit more on this side. So I'm just kind of using my finger as a little depth stop, and that's helping me to keep the blade over this side. And I should take a shaving off the right hand side until I'm down and level. I always have a tendency to put a hump in the middle, so I am putting next to no pressure here, lots of pressure here, and then none here. And I'm also finding this area on both pieces is a nightmare. He's wanting to give me tear out. So I've just been planing up these two pieces. Now I can see that there is a little bit of a gap at the top here, which is hard to show you because they do kind of push together. It's a small gap, but basically if I push this up here, that gap completely disappears. So that tells me that this side is most likely flat, and if I move it down, I wonder if, yeah, see, pushing together, there's a gap just there, so the gap is definitely on this board. So I just need to go that another way. I need to probably remove a hair all the way down here to get them even, and then the fact that they pretty much push together like that, that tells me they're pretty much ready to glue up, and my book match isn't ruined, so hurrah. Oh, one last thing. It's hidden, although there is that, but can't have them all, can you? This was a dry run. always do a dry run, or one day you'll wish you did. Just got a bit of parcel tape under here, which will stop the boards sticking to this MDF. Not a lot of squeeze out there. Either not very much glue or not enough clamping pressure. Probably down to the amount of glue because I didn't use much. So it's glued up. I ran it through the sander after getting the clamps off, just to get rid of all the glue residue. Worked out where the body's actually going. So you can see here I've got the pickup as far down as I can really get away with, and that's because I need to make sure this is kind of as high up as I can get it, because the F-hole generally is, the widest part of the F-hole is generally level with the bridge. So I want to try and make sure the F-hole is hiding that, but without having the F-hole too far down, because it will look a bit weird. And I left it for a couple of days, like this, stored vertically, give it an opportunity to settle down after it has been in the clamps. There is a tiny bit of cupping at this end. If I can show this off. There you go, there's a tiny hairline there. Not enough to get a fingernail under, maybe just. But this end is dead flat, which is perfect because this is the widest part. And so I think all that cupping is around this thinnest area here. So removing all this waste, and I rough this out, that should remove some tension, and hopefully if I fire it through the sander again afterwards, we won't really lose much in terms of dimensions. we're here, I may as well cut out the body. This is a backtooth blade from Axminster, very good for going around corners and makes up for my lack of ability with a bandsaw. So I've just changed the bit out now for a bottom bearing bit, flip the template over, and I can go template from the bottom, so I haven't got to do any climb cutting or going into end grain. This is the point where a God-fearing person would pray. These absolute monstrosities can be quite terrifying. I run them faster than I should, which is why you can see it's burnt the wood a bit, but if I run them much slower then I run the risk of this getting eaten, which we don't want. And I use this big beastie for when I'm building a guitar with Gibson style speed knobs or PRS style knobs, or if I'm doing a sort of Strat style knobs, knurled ones, then I'll use this one, which is a bit smaller. This is about 40mm I think in diameter, but what I like about this one is it's got a flat bottom, and it does make a tiny little mark right in the centre point, so it gives me a centre point so I know exactly where to drill my hole in the middle. And the other thing to mention about doing this extremely scary operation is always do a test route on an offcut from the same piece of wood, because you never know what they're going to do, and yeah, it's a high risk operation. Now I've just got a little rebate cutter in there, and I'm going to go round and I'll do it in a couple of passes, and I'll take a 1.5mm rebate off up to about 7mm, and that'll give me something to carve to. something a bit like that. This is my favourite part about making guitars. While I could do it in a fraction of the time with an angle grinder, this is therapy. So I'm not using a mallet yet, and that's well, it's because I want to sort of tell what the grain's doing. If you go the wrong way against the grain, then a massive chunk could rip out, and I find pushing it, you kind of get a better feel for what's happening. Whereas once the hammer falls, that's kind of it, and if there's a chunk that's going to fly off, then there's not much you can do about it. And then what I'm doing is I'm just working my way back to my pencil line and down to where I routed the rebate, and the idea is that I'm going to go as close as I can get to the rebate without really touching it, and then that's going to give me a nice even carve all the way around, and then when I come to sanding and scraping, I'm really just tidying it up down to that line. See, like that. Oh, look what I've just revealed. That's not good. Let's hope. Oh, we made it disappear. And sometimes you put the gouge in and it just won't go, so you just need to kind of twist and turn, and it comes away nicely. So I'm just very gradually working my way round down to the level. I'm not going all the way down, then move along and go all the way down, etc. I find I get more even carve all round if I just sort of gradually work my way down there. And then when I get to this volume pot recess, I'm just going to carve straight down through it. See, now after I've done a couple of big gouges like that, if you just come back and gently push over the point in the middle of the two gouges, you get a much more even, smoother arc, and it's a lot less work to tidy up. Not that matters because I'm nowhere near there yet. Can you see these two little lines coming down here? My inner pessimist says there's a nasty little beetle tract going all the way down there, and I'm going to reveal it when I carve. We shall see. I think every piece I've carved off of this top horn is split, so I'm being extra careful. There we go with the little thumb plane, see if that helps me. Like they were made for this job. Love them. That'll do. Right. So I've carved kind of up to the horns-ish, close enough. I'll finish those off once I've put the break angle in, but I do want to get this kind of secondary curve going on. Maybe in a bit more, just coming up to this pot recess, I think. Something like that. Haven't got a bridge to check. It's not going to come out any wider than that, is it? Something like that, I think. Maybe that's not the same as that. Oh, I don't know. This is why you should plan your guitars before you start making them. It's not as fun, but it does remove the guesswork. That'll do. And then I'm just not going to basically go as shallow as the last one. Go about halfway down, give me a nice even curve. Get this one. Ooh, you don't like me, do you? You don't like me at all. Well, there doesn't seem to be any nasty channel anywhere at the moment. Well, I said that, I bet there is. The join here is always a problem area, because you've got, say, grain that was potentially going in this direction when it was a billet, and now it's going in this direction like this. So one piece of wood wants to go this way or this way, and the other piece of wood wants to go almost the opposite way. So it's always, almost always, a nightmare area. This seems to be going okay. Touch wood. Walnuts. Oh, that's satisfying. Very satisfying. This is where the sexy figure starts to appear, and you can't tell whether it's a gouge mark or it's just quilt. Oh, so pretty. Yeah, that's not gouge marks. It's just yummy wood. Starting to lose my tools in sawdust. So, break angle. How I used to always do this would be just to stick a block of wood there, about 8mm, 9mm thick, and then I would get a number 7 hand plane and I would just plane a ramp all the way down the front of the guitar up to about around here, and then I would cut the block in half, and then I would plane back to around here, and that would give me kind of a 2-faceted slope here, and then just finish carving to tidy it up. This wood is a hateful piece of wood, and I suspect if I start planing down the front here like that, it's going to be trying to rip chunks off, especially around these horns. So I'm going to cheat. Go. is just a hair under 3 degrees, I would say, which is about perfect. Anywhere between 2.5 to 3 degrees, fine for a tunematic. No less than 2, no more than 3. That's how I like it. It hates me. This wood hates me. It's still a razor sharp gouge, but this bit of maple is a nasty piece of work. Thumb plane and stuff now to tidy it all up, I suppose. You don't want any straight pointy edges, so round it all over nicely. Of course nothing's going to fit in there, so it'll be a mini scrapers only job, which will take a while. Right, the shape's all roughed in. You can see I've tidied these up. Still a little bit more to do on this one, but when I smooth all this up, I'll probably end up altering this slightly, so I shall just come back and finish it off once it's all tidied up. Normally this would be the time to get the kidney scraper out and smooth all this up, but it's cold, got a few blisters from all that carving, so I think I shall just do the quick and dirty way. Now you can see there's a tiny little hairline going all the way around here. A few times in the past I've had issues with going over the edge with an orbital sander, which not good. So I tend to just leave about a fingernail, if that, and then that'll go during a bit of scraping, hand sanding when it's all together, and that just makes sure I've got a nice consistent height of the edge all the way around, which is just what I want. My cheapy random orbital is far too big and cumbersome to get round these horns, so they will be hand sanding. Just nice and smooth and pretty. Might stick some spirit over to have a nice look at that figure. That is going to be one very pretty guitar. Comments below then. What colour shall we make it?